Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's game-changing webinar series, SBL day number 5. My name is Hasan Dossani, and today will be our last day of the webinar. It would be a bit lengthy, a bit stressful, because I want to cover a lot of things. So let's start right away. So that's the teacher's info for those students who are joining for the first time. And again, for students who are not yet part of my global WhatsApp group, please send a message to this number and you will be added to my global WhatsApp groups, where you will get regular updates about the paper. How to ask question? You can just type your question in the chat box, but please make sure that your questions relate to the topics under discussion. And today especially, I would allocate like at least 15-20 minutes towards the end for a very detailed question answer sessions. So don't worry. And those of you who have just joined today, we did a full SBL question over the last 4 days. And the question we did was specimen paper number 3 called NABI. And these are so many topics which we covered, like all these topics we covered, including the drafting, the professional skills, the formats. And I will share the answer, the complete NABI's answer on all the WhatsApp groups by tomorrow. Okay. This was the list of top 25 important topics for SBL. And those of you who are struggling with time management, those of you who just started studying recently for December attempt, you need to focus on these top 25 topics only, because you don't have time to go into more details. And yesterday, what we were doing, yesterday, we started revising all the important models. So there are 10 important models in SBL. And I thought that it would be beneficial for you guys if I can quickly revise them for you. So we did Pestle Porter 5 strategic position. Then we spoke about SFA. We spoke about SWOT and TOES. Is that it? Okay. So now today we will continue with the remaining bits so that we cover all the top 10 models till here. And then we will proceed to something, different. So today's first topic is called corporate parenting and portfolio. Okay, I think this question or this topic has not yet been tested in SBL so far, but nonetheless, it's an important topic. So what is the meaning of corporate parenting and portfolio? Let's look through an example. Let's understand through an example. So for example, there is a Kingfisher PLC. It's a company called Kingfisher PLC. It is a corporate parent or a corporate head office. Okay. And it has got 3 subsidiaries. One is called Kingfisher Fishing, one is called Kingfisher Processing, and one is called Kingfisher Restaurants. So these are called business units. So this guy is the parent, head office, or the holding company, and these 3 are the child subsidiaries. Hence the word corporate parenting, right? So now you in real world, you will see a lot of group companies, like a lot of companies, there's a head office and they have several entities in which they have got stakes. So that's a corporate portfolio or a corporate, group environment. So now tell me one thing. If you are the corporate parent and you have got these three children, will you be monitoring the performance of these three child as a parent or head office? Obviously, right? You have invested monies in these subsidiaries, so definitely you would be monitoring the performance of each of these companies. Very good, very good. And what things would you want to look at? If imagine you are a parent entity, you have got 15 subsidiaries, 20 subsidiaries, 10 subsidiaries. All of them are into variety of businesses. What things would you look at in order to, monitor their performance, compare their performance, profitability, growth, market share? Very good, very good. Revenue markets, profits, synergies, interesting, growth, financial performance, market demand, excellent. You are how they are performing industry wise. Objectives have been achieved or not. Very good. ROI, very nice, Venkat. So there are so many things, financials, non-financials, which we can look at, right? A lot of KPIs. But under exam conditions, I don't want you to go without any boundaries. Under exam conditions, just keep in mind that you should just review these 5 things. So for each subsidiary, generally 3 subsidiaries are given, maximum 4 subsidiaries are given in your exam papers. Data and information about 3 or 4 subsidiaries will be given. So for each one of them, we will look at 5 things. So for example, if it is Kingfisher Fishing, my heading would be Kingfisher Fishing. And then I will look at these 5 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this clear? So the first thing we always look at is the industry status. Before I check my subsidiary, I need to first understand how that particular industry is performing. Okay. So for an industry, there are 3 possible things. Either it is in growth stage, or the industry is in maturity stage, it's mature or flat, or it is in decline stage. So that data will be given to you about the industry. And from there, you will need to analyze and judge whether that particular industry is growing, is it mature, or is it declining. Is that clear? And if the industry is growing, why is it growing? If it is mature, why it is mature? And if it is decline, why it is declining? The why is very important, right? Just saying it is growing or it is declining is not enough, because the directors will ask you why this industry is mature. So the reason for growth is more demand. This is a better substitute of some other products. That is why more people are buying, and hence the industry is growing. Like electric cars, growth stage. LED lights, growth stage. Okay. Maturity means that the reason for maturity is that its market is now saturated. No new demand is coming in. And decline means that now some other alternate product is available in the markets, and this industry is declining, and that industry will be in growth phase. Okay. Yes, Maria, correct. After industry status, you will look at the market share of your child. Market share, can anybody tell me how can you calculate market share percentage? Do you know that? How can you calculate my market share percentage? Market share is always in percentage. Our revenue or sale divided by industry sale. Very good. Our turnover or sale divided by total industry turnover or industry sales. Very good. So if my sale is 100 and industry sale is 1000, so market share will be, my market share is 10%. That is my market share. Market share is always in percentage. So then the second thing is I will look at the market share trend. Is my market share increasing? Is it maintained or is it declining? Okay. So market share, what is the reason of market share movements? One thing only, it is competition. Okay, market share is directly affected by competition. If my competitors are better than me, my market share will start reducing. If I am better than my competitors, my market share will start increasing. If I am able to fight with my competitors, protect my share, my market share will be constant. So market share is always linked with competition. Is that clear? Very nice, Alvin. The third thing we will look at is profit margins. Like trend of profit margin. Is my profit margin increasing or maintained or declining? And can anybody tell me profit margin is dependent on costs? Sales and costs. So sales, yeah. Profit margin is sales minus cost, right? Sales we analyze through market share here. Sales is understood through market share. Now, movements in profit margin. I'm not talking about profit. I'm talking about profit margin percentage. You see the word percentage? So that profit margin percentage will vary because of movements in costs. Is that clear? If your costs are increasing in more proportion than your turnover, then your profit margin will start squeezing. If your costs are not growing in line with increase in sales, your profit margin will start improving. Yes, Shazib, I will answer that. So just simplify, right? So the fourth thing is we talk about BCG matrix. So do you guys know what a BCG matrix is? Have you heard of a BCG matrix? Star, cash cow, dog, market share. Yeah. So it's a small model. I think I don't remember it right now. It was like this. On X was market share. Y was industry growth, low, high, low, high. Yes. Do you want me to make it on fresh page so that you can understand? Yeah, let's make it on the first. So a BCG matrix looks like this. You are not supposed to make this in your paper, right? Okay, something like this, four boxes. On it is here, it is market share. Here it is industry growth, low, high, low, high. This one is a star product. Okay, why? Why do we call it a star? Because it's got a high market share, which is very good, and also the industry growth is high. Or can I say, if you want to, industry, uh, oh, what happened to the pen? Sorry, guys, just a minute. The pen stopped working. Yeah. Uh, this one would be industry status, growth, mature, or decline. Okay. So star is a product which has got a high market share, which is good, and the industry is growing. So it's double, like double advantage, that already the industry is growing, and in within that I've got a very high market share. So it's a star product. Okay. And this one is called cash cow. What's a cash cow? A cash cow is a product which has got a high market share, but in a mature or declining industry. And this one is called a dog. A dog is a product which has got low market share in a declining industry, and this is called a question mark. Okay, so you will need to assess whether this subsidiary Kingfisher is a cash cow, is a dog, is a star, or a problem child, or a question mark. How will you assess that? By using 1 and 2. We already discussed industry growth in 1 and we discussed market share in 2. Just based on this, you will plot it on this graph and you will see whether it's star, this, or this. Okay. And lastly, you will look at the strength, weakness, and the primary reason for acquisition. All this will be given to you in the scenario. All this information will be provided to you, that what is the strengths or weakness of this entity, and what was the any primary reason why did we went for this, why did we acquire this entity. So for I need to see 5 small paragraphs for Kingfisher fishing. After that, I want to see 5 small paragraphs for Kingfisher processing. And after that, I need to see 5 small paragraphs on analyzing Kingfisher restaurants. That's it. Your question will be done. Now, the main question is, how would you know that this requirement or this question pertains to corporate parenting? Yes, Aisha. Very good. Yes, Alvin. So how would you know? So there are a lot of hints. Number 1, 3 to 4 subsidiary data will be given. The data will be provided about 3 or 4 subsidiaries. So immediately when you see information or stats about 3 or 4 subsidiaries, first hint is it's a corporate parenting. Secondly, you will see the word corporate somewhere in the requirement. You will see the word portfolio definitely is somewhere in the requirement. So corporate portfolio along with data or stats about 3 to 4 subsidiaries, you should immediately know that it is a corporate parenting question in which you're expected to analyze and compare, contrast the performance of each child. We will look at these 5 things. All right. Yes, Alvin. Right. Let's move on. The important thing is today, we will not have time to practice. So as we did yesterday, I have identified for your ease, I have identified where you can find a question on this topic, where and how you can practice a question on this topic. So for each topic, I have mentioned one practice question, and those are all my own videos where I am solving. Okay, so please watch December 2020 webinar. 2020, not 2021. December 2020 webinar, day number 2 for a quick question practice on this topic. All right. Okay, good. Let's move on. Next topic is called ANSOF growth matrix. ANSOF growth matrix. It's a very simple matrix. And on x-axis, there are products. On y-axis, we mean markets. Existing products, new products, existing market, new markets. Okay, you understand the template? Now, do you think all organizations, they want to grow their revenues and hence their profits? What do you think? All organizations, do they want to increase their revenues and profits? And of course, profits will increase primarily if your turnover or revenue increases, right? Obviously. How can organization increase their revenues? What is NPOS, Meenal? No, you are wrong, Meenal. Even non-profit organizations and not-for-profit organizations, they want to increase revenue. What are you saying? Right? So every organization, they want to increase their top line, their revenues, their sales. How can they do that? How can they increase their revenue? As per this model, there are 4 methods of increasing revenue. First and very simple is the first method, where you concentrate on your existing products, selling your existing products in the existing markets. So for example, if so you're not adding new products and you're not adding new markets. Market means, let's assume market means geographical markets, just for understanding purposes, right? So penetration strategy means that you don't plan to add new products and you don't want to add new geographical expansions. Then how can you increase your revenue? By better product, better service, better marketing, better advertising, some promotions, word of mouth, schemes, deals, all those usual things which we do to beat competition and increase revenue. That's called market penetration strategy. That's the first one. The second method to increase your revenue is called product development. Okay. What is the meaning of product development? That if you want to increase revenue, you can add more products to your portfolio. So if I'm just selling French fries, I start selling some juices and burgers as well from the same shop. Okay, so product development means add new products, but to be sold in existing market. You're not geographically expanding, you're just adding more products to your shop. The third strategy is market development, in which you're not adding new products, but you're just surviving on existing products, but you are geographically expanding, maybe through opening more branches, more shops, online, whatever. But you're not adding products, but you're trying to expand geographically. And the fourth is diversification, that both you're doing simultaneously. You're adding new products as well as you are also expanding geographically. So both the products and the market is new under diversification. Have you heard this word diversification before? You remember the question, Nebi? Yeah. They wanted to diversify into hotel business. Why did they use the word diversify? Because hotel was a new product in their portfolio. Their existing product was restaurants. So adding hotels was a new product, and also it was in a new location. It was in the north part of the country, whereas all the restaurants were in the south part. So even the market was new. That is why it was. So just remember this model, that whenever, how can you use this model in the exam? How would you know? If the question asks you that please suggest ways how this company can increase their revenue, suggest or recommend ways how this company can increase their revenues, then you can use this word. Okay, they can add more products, they can, which is called product development, they can add more markets, which is called market development, or even they can consider diversification if they want to increase more revenue. Yes, Alvin, generally market means geographical, but it also means, new customer segments as well, but I don't want to confuse students at this stage. All right, so very good. So there is no question on ANSOF so far. Okay, so we are safe in that respect, but just remember that if the question says suggest, if my boss asks me how can we increase revenues, immediately I will start thinking of new products, new markets, online expansions, even some diversifications. Yes, Taruf, you can also use general common sense as well, but general common sense also would mean adding more products, right? And more expansions. So if you can use the word product development and market development and diversification, you may get 1 mark extra. But this is all general. All right, move on. Harmon's process strategy matrix. Now, this is a matrix for processes. So, organizations, they have lots and lots of internal processes. Internal controls, internal processes, SOP, standard operating procedures. Not only in finance, but all departments have their own process flows and policies and procedures and processes. Like a payment have, there will be a payment process, recruitment process, purchasing process, guys, there was a jerk. So are you able to see me and hear me clearly? Okay, okay. Um, Let me share the screen again. Something went wrong. I don't know what, but recording is there. Okay, looks good. Looks good. You will get the screen now. All good? Everybody's on the screen now? All right. So as I was saying that organizations, they have thousands of processes across all departments. Now, my question is, should we treat all processes as equally important? Or there may be some processes which are more important and some will be relatively less important, right? Obviously, by its common sense that not all the 1,000 processes will be of high critical importance. So yes, correct. So what organization does is they kind of categorize their processes into 4 quadrants, or they divide the processes into 4 categories. Okay, how? Based on strategic importance of that process and versus process complexity. Okay, so we see that whether this particular process has a high strategic importance or a low strategic importance, and whether this process is complex or low complex. Low complex means simple. Got it? But the key word here is we're talking about strategic importance, okay? Not normal importance, maybe but strategic importance. What is the meaning of strategic importance versus just the word importance? Strategic importance simply means that, it is that process is affecting our mission or objectives or our strategies. So in simple layman terms, strategic processes are those processes which affects our revenues, our customers, our market share, right? Those are strategic importance. Comp edge, very good. Now, those processes which have low strategic importance and they are simple, this we should either outsource them or we automate them using off-the-shelf softwares. Okay, do you understand the whole idea? That if something has low strategic importance, then let us not waste companies' time and resources in managing those processes which has low strategic importance. So either we can outsource those activities so that we can concentrate more on high strategic importance activities, or we automate those tasks so that they don't consume our time, and we can automate using off the shelf or ready made softwares. We don't want to spend a lot of money on these tasks because these are low strategic importance. Clear? Is the concept clear? Okay. Now, another box says that if the strategic importance is low, but the process complexity is high, that means the process is bloody complex, complicated tasks, but yet the strategic importance is low. What should we do with this? We definitely outsource it to a specialist. Why do we need a specialist for this task? Any idea? Because it's a complex thing, right? A complex thing requires skills. So we cannot outsource to anybody we like. We have to carefully identify and select the vendor who is expert in handling these kind of tasks, and then we will outsource to a specialist vendor or service provider. Yes, Uzair, very good. So the central idea is that anything which is low strategic, we try to outsource. Okay. Why? So that we can concentrate more. So any example, for example, office cleaning. So in the morning in my office, every morning at 6 o'clock, the cleaner comes and the entire team comes and they enter the office and they clean all the baskets, they clean all the kitchen, they dust all the tables, so that when we come at 8 o'clock, and when when we come at 8 o'clock, the office is neat and clean. Is this task strategically important? High or low? It is a very important task, there is no doubt. But strategic, is it linked to my strategies? No, there's a low strategic importance. And is it complex? No. Cleaning the office. So I have outsourced it to a vendor, and that person, that company does it. If they don't do a good job, I fire them and we appoint another provider. No problem. Any example of this? It is a task which is low strategic importance, but it is complex. It requires a certain degree of expertise. Very good, Aisha. Taxation. Do you know internal audit is a mandatory requirement for listed companies? Internal audit. So a lot of companies, they have outsourced the internal audit. But you might say that, oh, this is a legal requirement. So what? Internal audit is important, of course. Is it strategically important? It is contributing to my revenues? Not really. That is why it is outsourced to a specialist. So when we outsource our internal audit, we go with audit firms because they are expert in audits. If we outsource our legal matters, we go to a law firm. If we outsource our taxation issues, we go to a tax providing firm, right? So any task which is complicated, which requires certain expertise, and it is not directly affecting my contributing in my revenues. Risk committee, what are you saying, Taruf? You plan to outsource risk committee? Crazy. Risk committee is a process. The third one is, what about tasks which are high strategic importance? Now, these are tasks which the company should keep in their own hands. They should not definitely outsource. The whole idea of outsourcing these was so that the company can uh, focus on high importance, high strategic importance. Assembling, Venkat, I will share something with you in a few words. Website, what do you mean by website? For for all the tasks which are high strategic importance, but generally which are simple, we try to automate those tasks. We don't want to do it manually, and preferably we will go for bespoke software, so that it is a very tailor-made softwares, so that it does not affect our comp edge. Inventory management system is a strategic importance task, really. Inventory management system affects your revenues. Wow, you guys are typical accountants. Look at this list. Order processing system. Very good, Elvin. Order processing system is a system which affects my revenues, my customers, my market share. If you mishandle an order, if you don't process an order properly or on time, it will affect your goodwill, right? It will affect your reputation. Customer interactions, CRMs. Yes. Credit analysis of customer. Okay, it's somewhere gray. So we use best things. Inventory management, where can we consider? Here. There are so many inventory management softwares available, like SAP, Oracle. Just buy and use those off-the-shelf softwares. And what about these processes? Now, these are processes which are high, and they are high. No, Zer, you are going on the wrong direction. Yes, marketing, innovation, research, very good. R&Ds, all these are, marketing, research, innovation. So Apple and Samsung, how are they winning the race? They are constantly innovating. IT, no, Karamat. You think IT affects your revenues? Yeah. So innovation, research, marketing, all these are directly, affecting our future revenues. And they are complex. So we will use bespoke software, plus we hire the best resources. Okay, so Tajwar is asking where payroll will go. Tajwar, payroll affect your revenues and your customer, payroll softwares? Yes, low, right, of course. So Tajwar, payroll affects your revenues and your market share and customers. Yes, customer service. You are right, Lee. Hello, Tajwar, I'm talking to you. You ask question, then you be attentive. You think payroll affects revenues, your turnover? Yes, sir. No, good. And so it is low strategic. And is it simple or complicated? So it depends. If you think that payroll is low, then you can, outsource, or you can go it here. So only things which can come here, that simplify. Only thing which should come here is these things. Anything which affects my revenues, my customers, my products, my comp edge, my market share, CSR activity. CSR is a process or an activity? We're talking about processes here, okay? All right, guys. So in order to take, it's okay, Prince. Um, Please watch December 2020 webinar day number 3 for Harmon's process strategy matrix. And you will get clear about it. It's not very difficult. So far, it's not been tested. But just do one question and you will know what to do, how to handle it, okay? Right, Mendeley stakeholders matrix. This one is an important model. Why? It was actually tested like 2 attempts back. Stakeholders matrix. Interesting. In June, right, Bazat? Yeah, you're right. So, you know, an organization, they have a lot of stakeholders, several stakeholders. And I'm assuming that you know what a stakeholder means, right? So our stakeholders are people or group who are interested or affected by the company directly, indirectly. So there could be, so can you guys let me know examples of internal stakeholders? Employees, okay. Who else? Shareholders, okay. The board, what about the board? Yes, directors or board of directors. Yeah. So internal stakeholders generally are employees, the board of directors, and shareholders. Managers are included in employees, right? Customers are internal. Subhana Khalil, very nice. Subhanallah. Customers are internal stakeholders. Since when? Subhana in internal customers? No, my friend. Customers are external stakeholders. Some of the tax authority is internal? No, external. Okay, please. If you do these kind of errors, the examiner will never pass you. Then you are not fit to sit in the board of directors when you can't differentiate between internal and external, right? So employees, that is why I raised this question. Give me examples of internal. Internal are just employees, board of directors or board of trustees, depending on the legal structure, BODs and BOTs, and shareholders, because they're the owners. Okay, simple. Now give me examples of external stakeholders. Shabash. Customers, suppliers, competitors, society, government, banks, tax authorities. Very good. Is this clear? Huh? Public, like society. Yeah. Institutional investor, if they are shareholders, then probably they are owners, and then internal, right? Regulators, very good. Thank you, Matthew. Everyone, very good. Got it clear? So companies have several stakeholders, both internal and external. Should we treat all stakeholders equally, or should I treat them based on their importance to me? Yeah, of course. It is not practically possible to give equal importance and equal treatment to all the stakeholders. No, it's not possible. So how do we distinguish? How do we prioritize? How do we decide what to do with what kind of stakeholders? Mendelow's matrix will help us based on the power of the stakeholder and the level of interest of the stakeholders. We can divide them in 4 categories based on power and interest. High power, low power, high interest, low interest. So can anybody tell me key players? Who are key players? Can you define key player for me? So key players are those stakeholders who have high power as well as high interest in the company. Got it? High power and high interest. What do we do with them? They are key players. So we always obtain consent. So for any major decisions, it is important that their approval is required because they are key players. What are you saying, Nadeem? You're wrong. So let's not go into examples right now. First, understand the definitions, then I will, talk about examples because you guys are going in wrong examples and I'm not able to correct you in between. So stop giving examples, please. Key players are those stakeholders who have high power and high interest. So they are powerful people, and high interest means that they are involved in day-to-day affairs. So if they are involved in day-to-day affairs of the company, it means high interest. Okay. If they are not involved in the day-to-day management, day-to-day affairs of the company, then they have low interest. Understood what it means, interest? Day-to-day affairs. Now, who are these? Keep satisfied. Keep satisfied are those stakeholders who have high power, but they have low interest. Low interest means that they are not interested in the daily management of the company. They have some strategic interests, but they're not interested in the day-to-day management of the company, but they have high power. The third example is keep informed, and these are people who have low power, but they have high interest. They are involved in day-to-day matters, but they don't have any direct power. And similarly, the fourth one is minimum effort, where both the power and interest is low. Okay. Now I'll come to examples. So the best example here is board of directors or board of trustees, because obviously board has the powers and they are involved in the day-to-day management of the company, and also a major shareholder, not minor shareholders, but major shareholder who is involved in day-to-day affairs. Okay, high interest means that that person is directly involved in day-to-day management of the company. Then yes, like NABI. So they are the directors and they are the shareholders and they were involved in the business. So NABI, with both as directors and as shareholders, they are key players. The Graham NABI, John NABI, and all those people, right? Here, governments comes. regulators, institutional shareholder, or venture capitalists. Government has high power, absolutely. They don't have shares, of course, but being government or regulator, if they have issued a license, they have all the sovereign right to interfere. But is the government involved in day-to-day management of your company? No. Regulators, government, institutional shareholders. Now, these are share or venture capitalists. These are people who buy shares in large quantities in order for future profits. So generally, they don't like to get involved in day-to-day management of the company. They might put a non-executive director here and there. They will observe the business. They will give some strategic input, fine. But they will not involve day-to-day operational matters. So for them, we use the word keep satisfied. Whatever they require or they demand, give it to them. For example, what does the government want? Government, they want compliance with laws. They want timely tax to be paid. Give it. If institutional shareholders, they want regular dividends. They don't want cash leakages or lavish expenses. Fix it. Varda is saying, what about banks? So yes, banks can also be keep satisfied if it is a major lender. You know, if they really have power to shut you down, then yes. If they are small financiers, then not a problem. NED is considered in which category, Lee? NED is part of the board, right? Or they are not part of the board? Lee, NEDs are part of the board or they are part of the board? Do you see BOD somewhere on this screen? Yeah. So NEDs or EDs, don't go into that complication. Board of directors, okay, is key player, definitely. Insurance companies? What do you mean by insurance companies? Insurance company is just like a vendor or a service provider. All right, now keep informed. It generally talks about employees. Yeah, okay, Shazeb, don't get into so much complication. Just think NED is like a board. Keep informed. This category generally it is employees, which because they don't have a lot of power, but obviously they are heavily involved into the day-to-day management of the company. And this one can be minority shareholders, pressure group, all those things. Now, trade unions. Oh, coming. Trade union. Where can I put trade union? Now, please, whatever examples I'm giving, whatever I am writing here, this box or this box, this is not cast on stone. This is not, this is the most common places, but they can change based on power of interest. So for example, where can trade union go? If it is a powerful trade union, then keep satisfied. Otherwise, minimum effort. Or even keep informed, depend how you define it. Yeah. And someone asked me, what about customers? What about customer? So it depends. Is it a single small customer or is it a major customer? If it's a major customer, then what? Customer cannot be keep informed because they are not involved in it. Customer should be keep satisfied, yes. Because if there are major customers, they have indirect power or influence on you. And of course, they are not interested in uh, government. Yes, Prince, you're right. So it all depends on the case study or scenario, right? But what I have given is the most common or general. External auditors, minimum effort. What do you think? External auditors, I think minimum effort. They don't have direct power. They're not involved. Suppliers, minimum effort. Investors, what do you mean by investors? Shareholders. Investors are shareholders. I've already talked about shareholders. Why do you confuse it? Major supplier, then it might be keep satisfied, because you are, if you're dependent on that person, so whatever credit terms or whatever agreement is there, then you have to honor it. Bezat pressure groups, it depends on the pressure group. If the pressure group has high power, then keep satisfied. If the pressure group has low power, then minimum effort. Generally, pressure groups don't have a lot of power, majority of them, but it all depends on the scenario. All right, guys, you can do a question. SBL March, June 22. So I have not done this question. I have not covered a question in any of the webinars on this topic because this topic was tested just in June of this year. So if you want to do a practice question, you can look at March, June 2021, question number 1A for practice. It's a good question on identifying the stakeholders and how to deal with them. It was the first time it was tested in SBL. Lichia, you don't have to complicate matters to this level, please. Okay, relax. Very, very basic knowledge is required in SBL. Now, the next important model is analyze culture and power structure, org structure. Do you remember all this? Analyze, how do we analyze culture? Yes, we did it properly, right? So I don't want to waste my precious time today, our limited time today. So just watch December 2021 webinar. Oh, this is the same one. So those of you who attended this webinar, then you know how to do it. This is for people who did not attend day 3 of our current webinar. They can solve a question using this. Okay, context of change model. And then risk management. Okay, 2 more models left. Context of change model is a very interesting model. It talks about change management. And do you think organizations, they change their systems, their policies, their strategies, their philosophies? Yes. Organizations are dynamic in nature and they have to upgrade and update their policies and systems. Alvin, are you sure? Alvin is saying that this model was tested in recent attempt, context of change. Why others are not saying, Alvin? Ramsha is saying no, it was not tested. Anyone else? Okay. So 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 there's a change manager, okay? The person who is responsible to roll out the change, that person is called change manager. Okay. So generally it is the respective department heads. So if there's something gonna change in finance, I would be the responsible person. So I will be the change manager. I will be responsible to roll out the change and make sure that everybody is trained and they have accepted the new norms and they are, the change is successful. So a good change manager or the project manager, whatever you want to call, before announcing any change, a good project manager will look at few things, these things. Okay. So for example, he will look at the scope of the change. What happened? Wait, guys, the pen is. He will look at the scope of the change. Now, what is the meaning of scope of the change? It means the size of the change. So tell me, guys, tell me one thing. If it's a small change, it will be easy to implement, or a large or a major change is easy to implement? Which one is easy? Which one is difficult? Small change is easy or difficult? Easy. Small change is easy to implement, and a large or a significant or a major change will be. So the larger the change, the more difficult or challenging it becomes to implement, right? So the scope of the in yes, correct. So in the scope of the change, we basically look at the size of the change, whether it's a small change or it is a big change. A small change is called realignment, and a large change is called transformation. So these are the technical words of the model. So you will need to judge from the scenario whether, in your opinion, that change is a small change or a big change, and then you will need to use the word realignment and transformation accordingly. Now the question is, how would you decide whether it's a small change or a big change? It is a subjective thing, right? So I've given you some hints here. A big change is if the change affects senior management. If the change affects senior management, the entire top management has been changed, the entire board has been changed, obviously then it will change the culture. So it's a big change. Or if the business model is being changed, business model is like physical to online, online to physical, or core business strategies are being changed, then these are big changes. So any change which directly affects the senior management, the culture, the core business strategies, the entire business model, then it's a big change. Otherwise, it is a small change. Okay. So NABI's change is a big change if a VC comes in. In NABI's case, if the VC joins, is a small change or a big change? What will it be called? What will it be called? Transformation. And what is the logic why you are saying it's a big change? Because you will have to explain to the directors why it's a big change. Senior management is changing. Oh, what are you saying? Senior management is changing. Culture, very good. there are additions, there will be significant changes to the board of directors. Okay. And there's a chance that the culture and some strategies might be affected. Don't talk about organizational structure. I never use this word. Senior management or the board. So the board is changing in NABI's case, right? And it might affect the culture. That is why it's a big change. Simple. Two-liner is enough. Okay. The second thing we looked at is reasons. What is the reason for the change? Why? Why the reason? To the reason has to be convincing. So as a change manager, when I announce something, and if you guys understand the benefit, you will accept the change. But if you guys don't understand the benefit, you will just say this is another pain in the ass, then you will not accept. So having convincing reasons or justifications is very important. Otherwise, the change will flop. It should benefit. Yes, Shazib, correct. The third reason is timing. The third thing is timing. Timing means that how soon or urgently we have to implement the change. So which one is implementing urgently is easier, or implementing slowly, gradually is easier? Slowly is easier, yes. Whenever we have to implement something in stages, step by step, slowly, we have time, it's easier to manage and control. But if you have to implement something overnight, then it will create panic, it will create errors, or we don't have time to plan for it. So slowly the better, right? So the timing, we have to see whether the change is urgent in nature or we can implement it slowly and gradually. So if it is urgent in nature, it is called big bang. And if it is to be implemented slowly, gradually, it is called incremental. COVID-19 made companies change quickly. Yes. So for COVID-19, we had to adopt a lot of things overnight. Right, so it was big bang. Even scope was transformation. COVID-19 scope was transformation because it was a big change. Nobody can go to office, working from home. Wow, it was a big thing culturally. Yeah. Okay, now it's easy. Capacity and resources, we have to see that the organization should have the whatever resources are required for this change, they must have it. Like human resource, financial resource, technology. You have to make sure that all the resources should be available, ready before you roll out the change. Capability means that the organization has prior experience of managing such things. So for example, COVID, nobody had any clue or prior experience in such kind of a crisis, right? So everybody was making mistake, everybody were doing trial error, blah. So that means that there was no capability, which means that there was no prior experience. But sometimes organizations have prior experience in a particular kind of change. So that means they have capability. So a venture capitalist has capability. They have the experience of turning around companies. Yes, that's what they do. So they have the capabilities. Power. Power means that the person who is applying the change should have the right, sufficient power and authority. Obviously, if I'm the person, I should have the authority and the power to implement the change. Then only people will listen to me, right? So we have to give power. Preservation, let's forget about it. Readiness, we have to make sure that all the employees are ready. For example, motivation, acceptance, positive motivation, training, whatever is required have been given to them, provided to them. And lastly, resistance, that despite all your best efforts, there will be few people who will still disagree with you or resist the change. You will need to handle those groups separately. Again, it's a very straightforward model, but you will need to remember the headings, and you can watch December 2020 webinar day number 2 for question practice. Right. The last model is risk management strategies. Risk management strategies. So we will talk about risk management in a little bit, but we all know that organizations, they face various kinds of risk, right? Rebecca, from the change manager, so in this case the venture capitalist, okay, risk, all organizations, they face several kinds of risk, and they have to plan in order to protect themselves from the damage of the risk, correct? So essentially there are four options what we can do with risk. There are four options, and it is called TARA model. Do you know, have you heard of this TARA model? Transference, avoidance, reduction, acceptance. So there are four things which you can do with a risk. Number one, avoidance. The first thing we try to do is we completely try and avoid the risk altogether. Yes, Shazid. So the thing which is the root cause which is giving rise to that risk, we just throw it out. Avoid the risk completely. For example, if the risk is a credit risk, do you know what a credit risk is? That we give credit to customers, right? Credit risk is when we give credit, when we sell our products on credit to our customers. So the risk of default or non-payment, correct? If I want to avoid it, I don't want credit risk at all, then stop. Exactly. No factoring. Then don't give credit. Khalas. Only cash sales or online sales. That concept is called avoidance, that you completely disengage from the activity which causes or creates the risk. But many a times it is not practically possible. Okay. So the second option is reduction. That then if you're not able to avoid the risk altogether, then you should try and mitigate or reduce the risk then. So how can you reduce the credit risk? How can you reduce credit risk? Hedging, credit history, credit rating, credit limits, credit control, timely follow-up, looking at their balance sheet, P&L, stringent controls, all those things, client profiles, following up, all this is part of credit control. Factoring, I think factoring goes here, the third option. I think the third option is transfer the risk to someone else. Transfer the risk to someone else. So for example, if something bad happens, it is your problem. Obviously, I will have to, pay some premium. But then transferring means, so the best example of transferring is insurance. In case of fire, you will pay me. In case my car gets stolen, you will pay me, but they will charge me a premium. Outsourcing, when you outsource a certain task, basically transferring all the issues to a third party. Even debt factoring is kind of transfer, that you get a fixed amount and whatever gain or loss is now those guys' problems. Right. And the fourth is acceptance. Acceptance means that you accept the risk. You don't do anything. You just say, okay, I'll take a chance. I don't give a shit. So for very small risks, you don't really think about avoidance or reduction or transference. You just go with the wind. So these are the four things, risk mitigate management strategies, that with any risk, these are the four things which is possible. First, we try to avoid. If avoidance is not possible, then reduction or transference, or we may decide to accept by doing nothing. Okay. And the last topic is, Alvin, when should you use this model? This model will be, you don't have to use this model on your own. If the question says, discuss the risk management strategies, then you will talk about these things. Otherwise, don't use this model directly. Okay. And when you will watch this question, you will understand what I am saying. Now, what is a heat map? Again, it is part of risk management, heat map. So it's nothing, it's just on the x-axis. On the x-axis, you will see impact. On the y-axis, it's probability. So for all risks, there are two elements: the probability or likelihood of the risk and the impact. So low, medium, high, low, medium, high, right? So all the risks which an organization, we identify all the risks, and based on their probability and impact, we plot those risks on a heat map. So can anybody tell me which kind of risks will fall in this box? These will be risks which have high impact and they also have a high probability. So based on probabilities and impact, we place the risks. It is and then once we plot all the risks on this heat map, which one should we start from, right? Which one should we address first? From this corner or from this corner? Right corner or left corner? Which one should we address first? Yes, so this is the most dangerous box. Any risk which falls in this box, I need to prioritize and address them first. After this, I will move to these two boxes. And then once I'm done with that, I will move to these three boxes. So what heat map does is, it is a very simple pictorial view of all your risks, and then it helps you prioritize and address the risks in the right sequence. That's it. So you think business risk, many of the people said business risk. So business risk, how is business, how can you plot business risk here? So business risk has a high impact, medium impact, or a low impact? Tell me. Business risk has a high impact. Yes. Business risk has a high impact for sure. What is a business risk? That the going concern, right? The entire business can vanish. So definitely the impact of business risk is high. Stakes are high. But what is the chances? Probability is high. It depends. Yes. Generally, we really focus and make sure that business risk is minimized. We don't want the business to vanish, right? So if the business risk probability is low, where it will go? It will fall in this box. Or if it's medium, then it will fall in this box. So it all depends on your assumption of this versus this. Do not ever say that, okay, this box means business risk. No, it all depends on these things, right? Right? So these now are in front of your screen. You are now seeing the top 15 important topics. So what we did before that was the top 10 models. And now this is a list of top 15 topics, which are other than the models, right? So in total, 25. Now, obviously, the thing is, we don't have sufficient time to cover all these topics. Luckily, we have covered few of them in the NABI question. And I will want to cover a few more. And for the rest, I will let you know where you can find my lectures and the question, the practice question. Okay. So the first topic is called financial ratios. Financial ratios is a very important area because you being a finance student, you are expected to perform very well in these kind of questions. Whenever a balance sheet P&L is given and you are expected to do a financial analysis, there are a few things which you need to keep in mind. Number one, the SBL examiner or the board is more interested in the reasons. So just calculating the variances and not identifying the reasons behind the variances, you will not score any mark. So it's in SBL, you have to talk about the reasons, and where you will find the reasons, it's all in the exhibits. Number two, from a board's point of view, the board is always interested in two items. One, material items. Do you understand materiality and material items? What do I mean by material items? Any idea? Material, like from a balance sheet, P&L, big item. Yes. So they are not interested in small, minor variances, small amounts. It's the board. They want to look at big ticket items, right? Not that, we spent more on milk and tea. No. So you need to, when you decide which ratios you talk about, always focus on big ticket items, big ticket variances. The board wants to look at material items and exceptional items. These are the two things. Material items and exceptional items. The ones where you think that the board should be brought to the attention of the board. So please don't go in sequence. When you get a P&L and a balance sheet, you don't have to follow a sequence. You just prioritize and talk about big ticket items, the top 3 items in P&L, the top 3-4 items in balance sheet. So here are the basic ratios in P&L. You should always start with sales or turnover. I need one proper paragraph on turnover. If the turnover is increasing, decreasing, constant, what's the reason? Is it economy? Is it competition? Is it our own products, quality, whatever? A nice, the starting of it should be very impressive. After sales, gross profit margin percentage. You need to analyze if the margin percentage is constant, increasing, decreasing. And the main reason would be costs, right? Cost of sales. Then the net profit margin percentage. And the main reason would be overheads. And finally, look at ROS. So these 4 P&L ratios is more than enough because of the time constraints. On the balance sheet, look at current asset ratio, look at gearing and interest cover if you have time, otherwise skip it. And always try to give one non-financial ratio, or it is called efficiency ratio, like revenue per employee or any kind of financial versus non-financial, to give the examiner the impression that you are not an accountant, you understand business. Okay. Giving reasons is a must. No need to show calculations in SBL. So remember, the board is not interested in your calculation. So you can calculate directly on your calculator and just mention the gearing or the percentages of what's happening. Right? A very good question is this one. Very good question. So please, you must look at this question for practice. This is September 2021 webinar, day number 2. It was, I think the question was BCO, in which the financials was supposed to be analyzed, including non-financials. I think it was 18 marks or 20 marks. Amazing question. If you're able to handle that question, you will score good marks. And as I had said, in a financial question, always try to give 1 or 2 extra points. So for example, if it is a 10 marks question, ideally we give 5 points, right, for 10 marks. But if it's a financial ratio or a financial projection, then try to give 6 points or 7 points so that you can score a little bit extra. Any questions on financial ratios? I would like to mention important and very important. So this topic is very important. Okay. I will prioritize the topics for you. So financial ratios is a very important topic, not just important, very important. Financial projections, we just did that in the NABI's question on day 2. I have given you this checklist. Again, it's a very important topic. You must be very, very strong on this topic. And I have mentioned 2 practice questions. One was the same webinar on NABI, and there's another question which was solved in September. So you must do these 2 questions. All right. The third topic is financing structure. Again, we have done this in the NABI's question. This is not very important as compared to ratios and projections. So I would just say it is important, not very important, but just important. And we have done a question. So for our revision or practice, you can look at these questions. Budget MIS is the 4th portion. And we also did this question very nicely from an important point of view. It's not very important. It is just important. Okay. Now, project management. It is a slightly lengthy topic, and but we did this in NABI. So how to track a project, we all know through quality, timeline, and cost. And then there is one post implementation review. This is a very important word in project management. Post implementation review. So there's a post project review and there is a post implementation review. So once a project completes, once a project ends, there are two reviews which are done. Okay. The first review which is done is called post project review. It is done only once. And after that, another review is done. It is called post implementation review. It is done regularly, like more than once, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, maybe annually. Okay. So what is a post project review? Or if I say which one is more important, post project review or post implementation review, definitely post implementation review is more important than post project review. So what is a post project review? How the project was managed, focuses on mistakes and lesson learned for future projects. Okay, so we just see how the project management techniques, how they were used throughout the project. So whatever is the project management techniques, steps, were those followed during the project? Yes, no, what went right, what went wrong, lesson learned, so that in next project we don't repeat those mistakes. So this is more of a learning exercise from a process, from a discipline point of view. What's more important is the second review, which is called post implementation review. in this one in this one we look at results. What do I mean by results? Actual versus budget. Do you see? So do you remember Nebi's question? There was a projection there. Remember, right? So in a post implementation, so how would I know? Okay, so in Nebi, based on the hotel projection, we approved the project. There was a positive NPV of, I don't know what, 2.9, yes, $2.9 million. Maybe I have it opened. Ah, transcript comparison. Yeah. Do you remember this projections? Hotel industry projection. That initial investment 21 million, then inflows of this, and then now this is the projected or the forecasted or the target or the budget. Do you think someone needs to then actually track post result, post project? Then someone needs to track the actual costs and revenues and benefits and compare, or should we just forget about it? What do you think? Definitely, right? So the company invested so much money, they took on a venture capitalist, So much thing was done so that once the hotel is up and about, the company can earn 2.9 million NPV, right? So then we have to track actual versus the budget. And this activity is called post implementation review. Okay, Faizan? Yes. This through, if someone asks you how we know whether the project was successful or failure, we will say that through the post implementation review, we will compare the actual results with the budgeted or the projected expectations. And if we are able to achieve or exceed those budgets, then the project was successful. Otherwise, we are behind, not that successful, right? So the only tool through which you can assess or judge a project is that once the project is completed, the actual results will tell you whether the project was successful or you were made a fool. And that activity is called post implementation review. Okay, any questions? Very important terminology. Now, contents of a PID. This is a very important topic, this one. So I will write, or I will write here. Contents of a PID. So what is a PID? It stands for Project Initiation Document. As the name says, Project Initiation Document. Basically, projects involves a lot of money, resources, risks, right? So all projects, they need to be first approved by the board of directors before time and money can be invested. So the first stage for any project is to seek formal approval from the board. Now, if you are the board, and if I come to you that, guys, I need your approval for a project, please can you give me approval? Definitely you will ask to see some details. Then only you will be able to decide whether to approve the project or reject the project. So a proper document is prepared for the board. It is called Project Initiation Document. The main purpose or objective of the PID is to enable the board to understand the project and, more importantly, to either approve or reject the project. So PID should contain or consist of all the material information relating to the project so that the board can see the entire picture, correct? So what are the contents of a PID? Very simple. It starts from the background or introduction. So the board shall know what is the background or introduction. Project scope and objective. Very, very important that there cannot be any project which doesn't have a scope or objective. Because the first question any board will ask is, why do you need this project? What's the purpose? What's the benefit? Yeah. So the scope and objective or purpose have to be defined. That's the main starting point of any project. And then, of course, financials like cost benefit analysis. And then we need to identify some of the key stakeholders who will be involved or affected by the project. There could be internal stakeholders, there could be External, for example, there will be a project sponsor, a project manager. What about project team? What about the concerned department? And then if it's external project, it could affect customers, suppliers, government, society, shareholders, board of directors. So all the key stakeholders should be identified. Then project duration and timelines. No project can have unlimited timelines. We have to clearly mention that this project will finish in 2 years time, 7 years time, 6 weeks time. There has to be a certain ending timeline, duration. Then what are the key project risks, if any, that needs to be identified? Are there any project constraints like technical people, human resource, financial resource, any major assumptions used in, so these projections, these are all based on assumptions. So project monitoring, reporting. So these are some standard items or some basic items which should always be included in a project initiation document. So please, you need to watch June 2021 webinar day 4 for question practice. Okay. Very, very important topic. Do I have any questions so far? Are you guys there? Or are you guys now just sleeping and wanting me to talk? All right. So I want to keep last 1 hour for some recaps and some Q&A. So I will just quickly skip topics and e-business. We all know it's very simple. I will just mention the importance of e-business. It's important, not very important, but important. E-marketing is very important. So I want to discuss this e-marketing. So obviously, can you guys tell me, there is a physical or traditional way of marketing, and there is the electronic e-marketing, right? These are the two broad mainstreams now. Can you give me examples of physical or conventional or traditional marketing, how we can do our marketing through the physical traditional method? Radio, TV, billboards, flyers, billboard, door to door, maybe magazines, advertisements. Oh, perfect. These are the conventional, traditional, physical newspapers. Very nice. Now, when we say e-marketing, what are the tools or options available in e-marketing? Social media, SEO, blogs, very nice. SMS, email, Facebook, Zoom. Zoom, can you do marketing through Zoom? Interesting. Spam, okay. Okay, social media, TikTok, very nice. Kobu, I answered your question. You were not there yesterday, please. I took your name yesterday and I answered your question, but you were not there yesterday. So please, when you point finger at me, 4 fingers are at you. Google Analytics, very good, Elvin. What the hell is Google Analytics? Pop-up ads, direct ads, emails, very nice. So this is the entire list which I was able to put together, and obviously you can add more stuff. So search engine optimization, this is Google search. You can also include Google Analytics in this. Websites, I mean, you can, give links on related websites. You can use emails to market your product, and then so many options on social media like Facebook, Insta, YouTube, Twitter, WhatsApp, TikTok, Snapchat, all those things. Online discount is a good attraction. Blogs, forums, influencers. So these days, there's a big thing, influencers. Link on related websites, online newsletters. So these are so many ways through which you can do e-marketing. That's it. So simple, right? Um, you can watch June 2021 webinar day 5 for a question practice on this. It's all right, Kobu. It's fine. You can see the yesterday's recording. And if you have any questions, then message me on my WhatsApp. Okay, Kobu. Big data, not very important. So I'll just say important, but not very important. And I don't want to spend a lot of time because it's a very specific thing. So I'll just give you overall idea about big data. As the name says, a lot of data, huge data, really, 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 really big data. Big in size, obviously. Plus, there is one more thing which differentiates big data from a normal data. So, so a normal data, don't you think banks have a lot of data? Yes, they do. Airlines and retail Walmarts and all these giants, they have data. So it was not like data was never there in the past. The data was always big. But what is this, distinguish big data is that big data, it has variety. Volume is there, right? Volume is the size, but more importantly, big data is variety. Big data is not just quantitative data, but also it includes qualitative and non-financial data. It is called unstructured. So there are two types of data. One is structured data, one is unstructured data, right? Structured data is normally numbers and financials. You can make graphs, you can track trends, but unstructured data is just gibberish. Okay. Examples of unstructured data is your, so because of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Insta, a lot of unstructured data is available. So do you know that if I look at your Facebook account and if I look at your friends list and your kind of posts and what kind of comments you are making on Facebook, likes and comments, will I be able to form some kind of image about your personality, your likes, dislikes? If I just look at your Facebook account, can I draw out your personality? Yeah. So, if I have 1,500 friends on my Facebook, all of them are boys, not a single girl. What does it tell you? Yeah, correct. I'm into boys. I don't like girls. I don't talk to girls. So will should I be then getting advertisements regarding females and female products? No. They will understand that I have some peculiar tastes. So through social media, social digital presence, Everybody's profile is available to these guys. Your contact list, your comments, your emojis, your friend list, what kind of pages you have liked and subscribed to. Amazing. Your pictures, your locations, what you eat, where you go, where you check in. This kind of data makes the data big data because it gives you so much information, right? So big data is not only data large in quantity, but it is also variety of data, especially it includes unstructured data which was never there in the past. And through that, organizations can do your profiling, and then they can, send you their deals, their products. This Google is listening to us as we speak. When you try this out tonight, you do a search, you do a Google search on your laptop, and tomorrow morning the product will be there in your Facebook as sponsored ad. So this is all big data. And velocity means speed. That organizations, they look at your requirements, they look at your personality, and then they send you products quickly before you change your mind. Interesting, eh? What are the advantage of big data? Obviously, it's deeper insight. It is analyzed, Varda. Yes, it is analyzed. There are like huge supercomputers which analyzes big data. Advantage of big data: very deep insight into customer pattern, customer behavior. We can develop products, we can design marketing strategies to, according to the data, and it will open up, increase our revenues and open up revenues from more sources. Obviously, when we have data, we can utilize this to increase our revenues, right? What are the disadvantages of big data? It's big. Security, storage is an issue. Safety and security is an issue. Data privacy is an issue. All those things, right? Okay. CRM. Again, I think it's important topic, not very important, but you must know CRMs are specialized softwares to maintain customer relationship. In today's day and time, in digital era, nobody manually interacts with customers. There are softwares which sends you birthday messages, which sends you reminders, which sends you bills, which sends you happy anniversary, all those things through automated systems. So these are called CRMs. Okay. You can acquire new customers through CRM, and it also helps in retention of new customers. So you can go through this. It's not very difficult. IT risks and security, again, not very important, but important. IT risks, we break into hardware and we break into software. Hardware has certain kinds of risks like malfunction, like fire, like theft. How can we protect ourselves? What are the security against these risks? Physical access control, especially the main servers. Imagine the main server of a bank, or main server of WhatsApp, or main servers of Facebooks, they are hacked. What will happen? So very strong physical controls, security guards, biometrics, CCTV, swipe cards, fire protection, power supply alternatives. All these are there to protect the hardware. Yes, Bezat. For data and software, what's the risk? Unauthorized access, which is hacking, viruses, cybercrime, data loss. All these are the list. What are the main security controls around data? First one is called logical access controls, passwords. So the physical, these were physical access controls. So hardware has physical access controls and data has logical access controls, which means password. So password has to be alphanumeric. They have to be changed regularly. They should not be shared with anyone. Today's time, there is, do you know, they should be locked down after 3 or 4 incorrect attempts. Do you know what this is? One time password. This is the in thing these days. One time password. You see, so when you change your WhatsApp on another phone, a code will be sent to you. So this is called two-factor authentication, that the company, they send you an email or a code through SMS or WhatsApp or email, so that they can make sure that this not someone else trying to hack your account. And then backups. Data backups is authenticator app. Yes, Akis, very good example. Then there are backups, that you have to have backups, so that if something goes wrong in the primary data, you have backup and you can restore it. Then there is firewalls. What is firewalls? Firewalls are specialized softwares to protect against hacking. Hacking is one of the largest threat these days, and firewall is the main thing through which you minimize the risk of hacking. Then audit trails, antivirus, segregation of duties. So I've covered all these in detail. So you will need to watch December 2020 day 2 for a detailed discussion on this, why IT, why it is important, all these things. Now, professional code of ethics, it's not very important. It's just simple important. And we all know integrity, objectivity, professional competence, confidentiality, professional behavior, public interest. I've covered it many times. It's simple. Code of ethics, I've covered many times in my previous webinars. Yes, I will. Actually, yes, I will definitely send. Corporate governance, I've covered this. Chairman, CEO, um, splitting the roles, NEDs are very important, non-executive directors. Board committee is very important. So what I have done is, actually, I have brought together all the main topics into one slide. It is like 89 or 90 slides tonight. And I know that it's next to impossible to cover 90 slides in 3 hours, right? But what I thought was that for your ease, if I can bring all the important top 25 in one slide, it will help you revise in one go. And I've mentioned all the days, which webinar you can see, which question you can do, so that you can also practice those questions, right? So I will definitely, Chandni, share these slides tonight, don't worry. And then remuneration, insider trading, family owned, this one is very important, huh? Family owned versus listed company. But luckily we did this question in NABI, family owned, and there are 2 practice questions. You can watch these 2 questions to okay, Akis, what I will do is I will mention the very important topics. Important I will remove. Well, all of them are important, but I will just identify which one is more important. So I will write V, very important, on those. Okay. Integrated reporting are very, it's not very important, but many students, they struggle with this. So I have done a lot of webinars on integrated reporting. I've solved a couple of questions. It's not very difficult. So the six capitals and all those things, you will need to watch June 2021 webinar for a detailed concept and uh, sources of competitive advantage. Sources of competitive advantage means internal factors. Okay. Sources of competitive advantage indirectly means internal factors, and we know which internal factors are there: human resource, financial resource, IT, brand. Social footprint, not very important. Not very important, but you must know it's important, not very important. Deepish, I covered AI yesterday. You will need to look at the recording. Environmental footprint, and here you will get a nice question for social and environmental footprint, and you will know what to do. Risk management, very, very, very important. Okay, it's a very lengthy topic, and almost every attempt there was a question, and there was no question in previous attempt. This time I'm hoping that it's a very, very, very important topic. And luckily, September webinar, I covered risk management in a lot of detail. I actually spent one full day of the webinar on risk management. We did minimum 2 or 3 questions. So one full webinar day I allocated to risk management. So yes, Alvin, there was no question in last attempt. So this time I'm expecting something. It's a long topic. And this one is the new topic. You see, 4 lines of defense I've included here, but we covered it yesterday as well. So please, this one is important. Please watch September webinar day number 3. It will take 2 hours, 3 hours, but it's worth it. Okay. Internal controls, it's important. And again, I have covered this in detail in June webinar day number 4. So what this is a whole list of the top 25 topics, very summarized notes so that you understand. You don't have to read any book or detailed notes. I've put together, consolidated all of them in very simplified bullet style so that in one minute you can revise each topic, and you can do watch the respective webinar and do the question. Okay. Now, how frequent is disruptive technology asked? Only once. Disruptive has been asked only once, I think. Right. So now I want to just recap certain basic things. Okay. Will you guys go through the top 25 yourself? Like yesterday we did models, today we did models, and I've compiled everything for you along with all details of which webinar, which question. So now I will need to trust you guys that you will look at the top 25 yourself. This is for self-study students, okay? So for my paid batch, we have already done so many things in the live classes, on the lectures. So people who are self-study, please, you can utilize this $1,000,000 resource. This will easily make you pass if you devote time and sincerity. Okay, right. Now I want to, Bushra, I think you did not attend all the classes, but I will cover it in a little bit. Exam techniques. It's very, very important. SBL does not pass based on hard work. Hard work is done by donkeys. Are you guys donkeys? No, right? SBL requires smartness and exam techniques. You are CFOs. Yes, Venkat. CFOs are not donkeys. They are smart people. And why? Where do we need smartness? Exam, those 4 hours where we have to apply all those techniques so that we are able to manage the paper. So exam techniques are very important. And the first technique is linking with the exhibits. Very, very important, right? How do we link with the exhibit? Now you know we have done NABI. First, you make a list of requirements on the Word tool, and then we paste relevant informations or sentences from the exhibits, and then we edit it, we add our comments, we give it a proper tone and stuff like that. Okay, regarding time management, again we discussed that we will maximum time for reading is 60 minutes. If you complete your reading before that, you can start drafting. If you don't complete your reading within 60 minutes, then you discontinue reading and move to drafting. And there are two type of exhibits, one is to one and one is too many. We will try to read one is too many exhibits first, so that in case there is a shortage of time, we can skip the one is to one and read them later on. Okay. And number of points, I think you guys are now very good at it. Generally, we follow 2 marks per point, and a little bit of exceptions, like a question which says identify weakness and give recommendation. These are 2 plus 2, like 4 marks. Okay. I've gone through all this in detail on day one. But just for your memory refresh, or for those people who have joined today for the first time, I suggest that you look at the webinar from day one and you will understand all these things in detail. Okay. I'm just recapping all of this. Format of your answer is a must. Format of your answer, linking is a, oops. Linking is a must, definitely. Paragraph style of writing is required. Leave one line between each para so that the examiner can visually see or count the number of paras. High focus on formats. Formats, presentations, the look and feel should look very nice. Look for stress words, use tabular formats for weakness and recommendation type questions. Use of models is not mandatory. So if you are not able to understand anything, just go common sense. Okay, don't panic. What to do if unable to find answer? Every paper there is a question in which you will struggle to identify the information. For first thing, you can just define the topic. There's no marks, it's just there to fill the space. Then you have to use the search control find option. You need to search all the exhibits through the magnifying glass so that you're able to identify the relevant sentences which you may have missed while you were reading. So when you use search option, you can write some keywords and definitely you will find some sentences. You can summarize the current status in your answer, and then you can answer briefly and then push this question to the last. Okay, again we have discussed this in the thing. Formats, more than 70% of your paper is format, so that's the report format. We have done this right properly. So thanks to the NABI question, I think you guys know how to make a format. Section of a report is just no format, it's just a heading, that's it. A briefing paper, briefing note or memo should look like this: to, from, subject, date. Email format, to, from, subject, date, it's just almost same, just the title changes, right? Presentation slide. Thank you, Chandni. Presentation slide. So we did yesterday, Nabi, right? There's a box and then there are speaker notes. We did that yesterday. Letter format. Very nice, very nice. So you just need to memorize these formats mentally. Press or release or website release is this format. And there is a question. Uh, the question on this is social and environmental footprint. If you do that question, it covers press and website release, press release format. Okay, December 18. Thank you. Business case looks like this. Highlight hotel, yes. And a project initiation document looks like this. Weakness recommendation or risk recommendation question. Try and use a tabular format so that you don't miss out anything. It's not mandatory, but definitely I would recommend that you use tabular formats. Last thing is professional skills. Professional skills was the first thing I started on the first day. Remember? Can anybody remind me how many marks do professional skills carry? 20. 4 marks? Are you serious, Sanisha? So bad. You have no idea about SBL. Oh, 4 marks each. Not necessarily. Recently, it's not 4 marks each. They are now total 20 marks. Yeah. Okay. So 20% of your paper is professional skills. Luckily, it's not difficult. Remind me, evaluation skill, what you need to do in order to score high on evaluation. Just cover pros and cons. Make sure that your drafted answer has pros and cons. They don't have to be 50-50 ratio. Okay. There could be 3 pros and 1 cons or vice versa. The quantity or mix doesn't matter, but you have to include pros and cons. Analysis skills. You have to identify the reasons for variance, the root cause, the reasons why the sales decline. You will have to look for the reasons. That's analysis. Why, can anybody tell me why customer satisfaction declined? Customer satisfaction declined significantly this year. Why? Very good. You are saying poor quality, poor service. Exactly. So all these will be untrained staff, price increases, bad after sales, 10,001 reason, but you will need to investigate, and from where you will investigate, it will all be mentioned in the exhibit. So as long as you investigate the reasons and mention the reasons for variance in your answer, full analysis marks. You don't have to do anything, just investigate the reasons. Communication skill, again, nothing doing, just whatever formats are required, reports, briefing note, presentations throughout the paper. Just give nice, sexy formats. Did you notice how particular I was about the formats when we were solving NABI? I was increasing the font, centerizing the font so that visually it looks nice. That's communication skill marks. And then you have to keep them in mind your role, whether you are insider, outsider, to whom you are writing the report to, your tone, all these things. Huh? Again, just nothing extra needs to be done. Commercial acumen skill is very simple. You don't sound like an accountant, so avoid using accounting terminologies. And always focus, start with non-financials and then come to financials in the last. So in your answer, non-financials first, and whenever you stick to the exhibits, whenever you extract your answers from the exhibits, automatically commercial acumen skill will be there. Only make sure that financial points are towards the end. That's it. Skepticism skill is where you need to change your drafting a bit. You might try to ask one or two questions. So you need to deliberately change the way you draft in such a manner that your points becomes a question. And you can use words like it's incorrect, or I disagree, or it's inappropriate. So here you will need to, yes, Lan, I will send all this on the WhatsApp group. Give me one day. Tomorrow you will get everything. All right. So skepticism skills is okay. There is one last thing I want to cover, and there was no slide on it, but I just remembered now. I'm tired. You know, lately the examiner has started asking or giving case studies relating to non-profit organizations. So in the initial several papers, they were all commercial or profit organizations, but in the last few attempts, there were two consecutive questions, or maybe if not consecutive, alternate questions on non-profit organizations. One was BCO and one was NCCP. And a lot of students, they panicked when they saw a non-profit organization's case scenario. Now, there is nothing to panic. Nothing is different. Only few terminologies will be different, but the entire business concept will remain the same. So, for example, in a commercial organization, there will be shareholders. Like in a listed company, there will be shareholders. They are the owners or the principal shareholders. But in a charitable organization, will you see shareholders? No. So who are the owners? Very good, Aisha. Who are the owners of a charitable or a NPO, non-profit organization? The sponsors or major donors, not BOT. Board of trustees are not the owners, Ramsha. You made a mistake. Sponsors or major donors. Okay. Now, in a commercial listed organization, there will be board of directors. But in non-profit organizations, there will be a board of trustees. They just work like a board of directors. They are mostly non-executive directors. So board of trustees, and sometimes they might have a small board of directors under them. So board of trustees is the normal thing in a NPO. It is equivalent to a board of directors in a commercial organization. That's it. All the responsibilities, accountability are the same. In a listed company, there will be employees, but in a charitable organization, there will be less employees and there will be more volunteers. So they will be a little bit more dependent on volunteers. All right, no big deal. Then a listed company will always want to maximize its revenue, right? Sales, turnover. But so does a charitable organization. Someone in the start today mentioned that, NPOs don't maximize revenues. No. What is their revenues? What is the revenues for non-profit organizations? Donations, right? A charitable organization, the main source of revenue is donations. So obviously for them to run their programs, for them to achieve their objectives, they need donations. So that is their revenue. So why they will always try to make sure that their revenues are increased, donations are increased. Correct? Then do you think there will be competition in non-profit organizations? How? How can they have competition? Non-profit, they don't compete, right? No, of course they compete. Are they the only non-profit charitable organizations? There are 100 NPOs in the market. So I'm competing with another charitable organization. So I have marketing strategies, I have business strategies. Competition on saving cost? My God. How can you compete on saving costs? Really? You are a bad accountant. Okay. So it doesn't matter whether you are a listed company or you are a non-profit organization. Doesn't matter. Even non-profit organizations have to be run professionally, commercially. Otherwise, they will hit their going concern. Don't get panic. Only terminologies are different. Business strategies, sales strategies, competition strategies, technologies, pestle, porter, everything remains the same. Okay? All right. Now, because you are giving CBE, there are some risks with CBE, technology risks. And I thought that let us talk about those risks so that you do not panic and you know what exactly to do. So first of all the topics are important in Shahzeb. What are you saying? Which topics? All these topics are equally applicable to profit organizations, and that's the whole point of me explaining that there is no difference. And yet you're asking which topics are important for NPOs. God help you, my friend. Have you solved any past question on non-profit? Yes, but in the paid group. So you will need to join the paid group for, we will be solving non-profit as well, definitely. So in the CBE, first thing is your ID may be rejected. If you're giving from home, then this is a risk. If you're giving in a center, then not a problem. So I think most of you are giving from center, right? Not from home. Center or home? Oh, home. Center. There's a mix. Okay. So if you're giving from home, then most of them will apply to you that your ID may be rejected or your system check may have some problems. This one is very common. Huh? Copy paste functions from mouse may not work at some time. Copy paste function from the mouse may not work at some time. So you can use, yeah, this one is important. You need to use Control C and Control V. And if nothing seems to work, you can refresh the whole thing. So how can you refresh? If you go here, okay, you can refresh by just pressing this circle. If you press this, the entire screen will refresh. It will reload the entire thing. And because, I had not signed in for a long time, that is why this problem happened. But in the center, you can refresh and things will work. Worst case scenario, if copy pasting is not working at all, then unfortunately you will have to type or pick up the main sentences in your own words. Okay. During exam software, some features may not work. Thank you, Bezat. Some features may not work, like highlighting or bold. Again, you will need to refresh, or you then call the proctor or the invigilator that this is happening. Sometimes the software stops working 15 minutes, 20 minutes before. It just hangs and it submits your paper before time. In that case, you will have to apply for mitigation circumstances. Huh? And then the real CB software is slightly different from the practice software which you have. So these are some toolbar varies. How you select information, it varies. So please, have a look at the very minor differences between the actual CBE platform and the platform in which you practice. So just be mindful of those differences. I've identified it here. And if you want to look at in detail, you can click here. There's a full article on these things. Finally, this is the list of important topics, 10 models plus 15 topics. Hopefully, if you focus on this, if you don't have time, just focus on these 25. Do lots of practice on these topics, and do keep in mind that this list is not 100% guaranteed. 70-80% it will be from here, but every time there is a new topic or something from common sense or something really unexpected. So do not panic if you see something outside this list. This list is only to help you because you're not left with a lot of time. All right. The suggested study plan. So week 1 is finished. Okay, week 1 is finished. Week 1, I told you guys to focus on December webinar and to practice on your own the December maybe question. Now from tomorrow or from Sunday, week 2 will start. So those of you who do not plan to join my mock based classes, you can then look at September 2021 webinar, and then you can do all these questions which I have told you. Week 3, you do these 4 SBL questions. So this list is basically for self-studying students. So week 3, you do these 4 SBL questions using CBE platform. Week 4, you do these 3 questions as strict mock exams under timed conditions and have it checked by any tutor or teacher. And then week 5, you just revise all the past papers. This study plan is for self-study students. Stay away from books and kids. Don't have time. Just focus on December webinar, September webinar, and practice. Okay. And for those who felt, for those students who did NABI with me in this webinar. So we did NABI entire question on day 1, day 2, day 3, and half of day 4. If you feel that that practice helped you, you must join this mock based practice class, which is starting from tomorrow. The time is 8 p.m. Pakistan time. And just like NABI, we will do 4 additional SBL questions, just like that, in more detail. Okay. And then I will arrange the 3 proper mock exams, and I will check 1 proper mock script with full details and feedbacks. And all classes will be recorded for later viewing in case there's a time zone difference. So please, if you are not part, so all my paid students, you are already by default part of this, the full-time batches, it's included in your package. Those who are not my students, you can opt for this mock based practice classes, especially those who scored in 40s. Very well designed course for resit students who are failing in 40s. Okay, if you want more information or registration, please message on this number. And tomorrow the first class is at 8 p.m. please. So you will need to log in. You will must have your own PC and laptop, because in these classes you will be solving in parallel with me on your own CBE. So I don't want any nonsense. So please, it's not 8:30, Rebecca, because a lot of students are from Pakistan and India, and it will cross midnight if we start at 8:30. So it's a very delicate balance. Right, guys? Do you have any questions? Matthew, are you part of the WhatsApp group? If you're part of the WhatsApp group, slides for day 3 have been shared. For day 4 and day 5 is pending, and I will share. If you're part of the WhatsApp groups, you will get it. I will share it tomorrow. Ananya, the schedule is like this. That's a good question. My mistake. What is the schedule of the mock-based classes? It is somewhere in my paid group, right? It is there. Where is the schedule? Media. Yeah. So this is the schedule. Let me increase the view. You can see that item number 9, serial number 9, SBL past paper September 2018. We will do co-fold. So on Saturday and Sunday, 6th and 7th November, we will do co-fold day 1, day 2. So we will do co-fold in 2 days because I want you to do it on your own. So around 6 to 8 hours on co-fold. Then on Monday, Tuesday, then there's a break on Wednesday, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then next Sunday will be first mock. After that, next Sunday would be second mock, and then next Saturday would be third mock. That's the schedule, and the classes are after 8 o'clock Pakistan time, so and recorded as well. Any other questions? Technical articles, you mentioned AI is important. Which other articles are important? Only AI, because all the other articles have already been tested in your past papers. For ethical, how many points usually related to professional code of ethics on SBL? What do you mean? For ethical, how many points usually is related to? I didn't understand your question. Can we do other questions than Nebi? Aisha, you are, I think, in my paid batch, right? So Nebi, oh, I see. Yeah, I will try to give something, but that's the third mock. Yeah, so don't worry about it. How to do effective reading and focus more on quality of answers, Alvin, only through practice. There is no other shortcut. So the recordings of the mock sessions is only available to paid students. Unfortunately, yes. Paid students, they pay from their hard-earned money. So I need to differentiate something, right? And my college doesn't allow me to share everything. Otherwise, it's not fair with the paid students. All right, guys. So practice how to improve time management. Do you accept MasterCard payments? Absolutely, yes. PayPal, MasterCard, online banks, any payment is not an issue. I will share day 4 and day 5 handouts, and the recording is already available up till day 4. So day 5 will be released tomorrow. ERM is explained absolutely. So ERM was explained on September day 3. September webinar day 3 was ERM is risk management. So do watch that. Very, very important. Context of change and cultural change, both model is similar, not really. It's different. The headings are different. Maybe conceptually at some level they might be similar, but headings are different. So it's two different models. Anyone else whose question has not been answered by mistake? I might have missed it. What do we do if the requirement is not clear? You are gone. And this is a big problem. Sometimes the requirements are not clear and students, they end up writing something else and they flunk. So you can't do anything. Talab, good point. So Only thing is you do so many practice, like you do all the SBL questions so that you can understand the requirements, maybe from the keywords or something like that. Tala is asking, once we do solve our questions, can we compare the answers with the examiner's answer? Yes, you, of course, when you solve your own questions, you can compare with the examiner, but don't panic. Your answer will never match 100% with the examiner. Okay, those examiner's answer are for illustrative purposes. If your answer matches 30 to 40%, how much? If your answer matches 30 to 40% with the examiner answer, you are safe, provided that you have done that within the time allowed. Okay. Where is the link of previous webinars, handouts, videos? It's all in my WhatsApp group. When you go there, my Google Drive is there. And you click on the Google Drive, you will see all the webinars, previous webinars, videos, and handouts. Market segmentation was tested in September. So why do you need to talk about it in December? It will not come again. Aisha Musani, you are a paid student, so please relax. I will manage you guys. Don't worry about these things. No, they will not test it again immediately in the very next attempt. Relax. And segmentation is very easy. You can just Google market segmentation, customer segmentation. When you break customers into groups, that's segmentation. Okay, just Google, you'll find it's very easy topic. All right, guys, I think we should sign off now. Is it possible to share the answer for June 2021 attempt? June 20, I don't know. I will draft all the answers and put it on the Google Drive. Right, guys, I thoroughly enjoyed this webinar. This time I had changed the approach. I did an entire SBL question, and thanks to God, a lot of students, they really appreciated this and they thought it was very, very helpful. I did that because, to give you an idea about the mock based classes, how it will help you, and those who plan to do self study, it will really help them handle the question. So please, guys, I've given you lots of material, especially day 4 and day 5. Just focus on this. Do not hear to any other student, any other rumors. Focus on this. Give some time, 3 hours a day, and you will pass, inshallah. Guys, thank you so much, and stay in touch through the WhatsApp group. You have any questions, drop me a message on the WhatsApp group, and myself or somebody else will definitely answer you. All the very, very best to you guys. Take care and good night.